Aloha and welcome back to another episode of Alaka'i, the podcast. I'm your host today, Eli Hadley. Today I'm joined by a new host, Linda. Linda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Aloha Seasiders. I am Linda Laulu from the islands of Samoa. I would like to share one fun fact about me. Before I came to BYU-Hawaii, I was a former news reporter in American Samoa, and it was a privilege and a blessing to be here today.
Awesome. It's good to have you here, Linda, and we're excited that you're bringing your news experience here to Alaka'i and to share your experience in the podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Natalie Day, and she's going to share about her business. So before we go into about your business, Natalie, could you introduce yourself a bit, give a bit of a background?
Yeah, sure. My name is Natalie Day. I'm from a pretty small town in Montana, which is a very big state in the U.S. My population of my town is about 6,000, so it's pretty small.
Oh, wow.
Similar to Laulu, it's just far away from all the surrounding places. So community is really important to me, and improving the community around me.
For sure. Cool. And could you maybe give a little, like just a pitch about what your business is all about?
Yeah, so in about the spring of 2020, I started this business, and it kind of started out small as an outdoor ice cream cart. And it's really important to us and to me especially that this business brings an experience and some brightness to the town. You know, it's Montana, so in the winters it's snowy, so we just ran in the summer times when we started, and it was important to bring something that families could go out to do. So while we sell ice cream, and that's maybe the business part of it, it's kind of more of the experience of going out with your family or going out with your friends, or being able to ride your bikes down to the ice cream cart and things like that, sharing some joy around the town. So
That's awesome.
That's really interesting. What really motivated you to start this business?
Yeah, well, I love ice cream. Who doesn't? And I just remember I was sitting at the kitchen table with my mom, and it was kind of near the start of the pandemic, and things hadn't really reached Lewistown yet, but school was canceled. So we were kind of just sitting there thinking oh my gosh, what am I going to do all summer? I have all this time on my hands. And I kind of just talked to my mom about it, and she really empowered me to, go forward with it. Kind of taught me a little bit about how I need to figure out what permits I need, what I need to do to move forward, and kind of was just my mentor throughout the process of starting the business, and kind of just pushed me to kind of reach those goals, because it's something that I had thought about it a lot previously, but never really had the capacity or the time to be able to do. So the early start to summer really I guess empowered me, and my mom also just kind of pushing me to make it happen.
Wow, that is a great experience. What were some of the challenges you faced while you were trying to put together this business?
Yeah, a lot of challenges. Starting a business is kind of funny because sometimes you don't really know what you're doing at first, and it feels like a shot in the dark. You're just kind of putting things together and hoping it turns out, especially me, where I didn't have a ton of business experience, or I was just a high school student and hadn't really taken any classes or anything on it. So it was just a lot of guessing games, I guess, and figuring out what works and then changing what doesn't, making adjustments here and there. It was just a big kind of struggle figuring out what suppliers I wanted to work with, how I wanted to manage employees, things like that. And as my business has grown, I've definitely learned a ton, and just mistakes that I would not want to make again, or things that I would want to try to do better. Being here in school, I study business here, has also taught me a lot of things oh my goodness, I should have done that when I started. So it's been a pleasure to learn about the process while I'm able to put some of those principles into play.
Beautiful.
Awesome. And then so now, you're far from Montana, you're in Hawaii now. Mm-hmm. How are you also working with the business? How are you, are you expanding it? Are you doing it in other places?
Yeah, so we are expanding. We're just expanding in town. So as I mentioned before, we're an outdoor business currently. But the start of last year, we actually found a space inside. So we are working on renovating a building right now so that we can move indoors and be open year round. And that has been a big project. It's something my family is heavily involved in. My parents are working with this building, and they have made like so much progress, and they're just fantastic at everything that they do to support the community. And I'm super excited because my business gets to play into that, and the building will have different things going on in the space as my family puts in some other businesses, but I'll be able to rent it for the ice cream business, and I'm just super excited to see it grow in town. And it has been a big challenge being here, you know, across the ocean. You know, learning how to make those decisions from a distance and still being involved in that process has been a bit of a struggle for me. But my family has been a huge support in keeping me involved and also taking care of those little problems that come up that I'm not there to take care of. They've just been stellar and like stepping up and supporting it. And it really is it's a family effort to keep everything moving, and they're just amazing. So
you got a plan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. I think it's really cool how like your family is being they're being an support to you, even though you're far away, you know, Hawaii.
Yeah.
So are you going to go back during the summer and run the business in Montana?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
And then is it hard to like with communication when you're communicating to your family what you want done in Montana?
Yeah, a little bit. And really it's kind of just the idea of like having these different visions, you know, especially with like us expanding and making a lot of growth. They've been with me from the beginning, so it's as much their business as it is mine. And we all have these different ideas that are kind of hard to like even get out of our own heads. You know, it's hard to even know what we want it to be like. So working with that is a bit of a tricky process, but really it's the most fun part, is to like sit down and throw ideas out there and talk about plans and expectations, and just like, you know, throw out like wild ideas like, hey, I want it to be like this, you know, I think it'd be great if kids could do this when they came into the shop. And just really kind of that process is the most exciting part, because it's the most like creative and involved part of the process.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is I forgive me, I forgot to ask exactly what the name of your business is.
It's Main Street Treats.
Main Street Treats. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
What is like your favorite item on the menu that you offer?
Okay, so we offer ice cream, of course. We also offer like shave ice, and then baked goods when we can. So those kind of just appear when they're able. But my favorite thing is we work with a Montana supplier of ice cream, so we purchase ice cream from them, so they have all their different flavors. One of their flavors is called Montana Moose Moss, which is my absolute favorite. It's like a mint ice cream. It's like Moose Tracks, but mint instead of vanilla and peanut butter. So that definitely would be my favorite.
Sweet. And you talked about your experience here at BYU-Hawaii and learning more about business after you started a business.
Yeah.
What would you say is like the biggest thing you've learned here from your professors, or maybe a couple really important things you've learned?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I've learned just throughout, you know, every class I've taken so far is how to ask for help, and how to, you know, reach out to your connections, reach out to the people around you to help you solve problems. Like even in the scope of classes, like if there's something you don't understand, reach out to somebody you know. There's always an answer out there. You just have to like be willing to look for it, and willing to kind of like almost humble yourself and know like, I don't know the answer to this. I'll have to like ask somebody. Like that is completely okay, and that's the whole part of business. It's the whole part of community.
Yeah, I think, you know, at least sometimes I see businesses as more like distant, very like detached, but it's very much there's very much a human element to it from what I've seen and heard from people I've talked to. And I totally agree with like not wanting to ask for help. I have struggled with that all the time, because I think as people we want to be able to do it on our own, to say, hey, like I did this on my own, you know, like this is mine. But really everything is a group effort. It's the people that support us that encourage us to make our dreams come true.
Right. I love that. And I really think that the best businesses are those that are looking at their customers and trying to help their customers, you know, being involved and making their lives better, you know, talking with the people who support your business is really the most important thing. You know, reaching out to them as well is really the goal, to improve their lives and make them better.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's that in kind of intersection with like community and business, which, you know, since you come from a small town in Montana, right, do you feel like because you're from a small town that you better understand how business can help the community? Yeah,
especially not even just with my business, but just watching my town interact, you know. There's so many like little downtown shops that like I admire so much, and like how they have taken the space that they have or the opportunities that they have to like make a difference and change things in the town.
I agree. I think, something that I love is just seeing a diversity of like small businesses, because today, I think it's always been an issue, but bigger corporations buying up every little business.
Right.
There should be a diversification where small businesses are supported.
Absolutely.
What are some other good reasons to support small businesses?
I view supporting small business as supporting the people that run it. It's a very consuming endeavor to own a small business, especially when you maybe have a family to support. And while there's a lot of like happiness in it, there's a lot of like struggle too. And so every time you reach out and support a small business or like a locally owned business, you're helping them and you're making their business more successful, which means a lot.
Awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. As a student here at BYU-Hawaii, have you able to share with your fellow classmates about your business and find interest in them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really fun to like talk to different people, and I'm definitely not the only person in the school who has started a business or has tie-ins with business. So it's been really fun, especially within the business major, to like talk to different people, or to even like bring my experience and their experience like to the class discussions
and build it,
or the homework. Even if it's not necessarily about the same thing, the insight and backgrounds that we all have can really like enrich the experience of learning in the classroom.
Thank you.
Well, another question. So you talked about your parents and family have been a great support. Do you have a specific like story where they were super supportive, or maybe you were? Yeah.
Okay. So in my town, there's this fair that happens every year, and it's a super big event. And we were fortunate enough to get a spot about our second year into running the business, which was kind of crazy and a little intimidating. And we did it, and we did great. And there were a lot of things we wanted to change. So the second year we went into this fair, I had all these ideas of like, okay, we need to do this, we need to change this. And there's a lot of planning that goes up to it. It's about a week worth of like 6 a.m. mornings to 1 o'clock in the morning, evenings. And so it was just a big challenge, and as I, started to plan this, I kind of felt this like, I don't know, it was just my pride really of like, I need to do better this year. I need to step up, and I'm going to run this the way it needs to be run. And I just kind of really felt all that pressure of like, I've got to do this, and this, and this. And my family was really like necessary for me in that process of, taking things off my plate, helping me when things got too much. My dad would drive out of town and pick up supplies for us, help with everything. If we ran out of ice in the middle of the day, he was there going to the grocery store and picking up more ice or more water bottles or whatever it was we needed. And my mom was just there, like constantly helping me with the process, like helping me think things through and, just kind of coaching me with how I needed to be running things. And it was a really great learning experience. And I remember just like one day I had been there all day and I was just exhausted and like tired, and I didn't want to leave. And I was, we had this huge line, and I was just like, kind of checked out, but I felt like all that pressure that I needed to stay. And I remember my mom was just like, yeah, go take a nap, go to your car. So she like sent me to my car, and I just like took a 20-minute nap. But just without them there, I really honestly couldn't have even like started planning that event.
Right.
And they really are just such a spectacular help for me. And in everyday, like big events and everyday business, they're always there, giving me an extra set of hands, or really just taking care of things and letting me enjoy the business or enjoy summer even, not even have to do with the business.
Great. So with the name of the business, do you recall why you guys came up with the name?
Yeah, so in Lewistown, there's just like Main Street runs through the whole town, and our current location where we set up on the sidewalk is like on the corner of Main Street and 3rd Avenue. So we just kind of picked it. We wanted that like summertime feel, that idea that people could just come up to the street, but also just something fun, it sounds nice.
That's true.
Yeah.
Would you like to call out some of the treats that you guys have, or the treats that most students or most people would stop by and buy?
Yeah, so we have waffle cones, cake cones. So we serve hard ice cream, so it's a little different than like a lot of the ice cream here, which is like soft serve. So it's like scooped. So you can get like a scoop of ice cream on any kind of cone, cake, sugar, waffle. We also sell shave ice, and we do soda floats, which is like if you've ever had a root beer float, similar to that, but with any flavor of soda. So my personal favorite is grape. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wish to try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember you sharing about some of the advices, like to ask, seek help from professors, and
Yeah.
would you like to give advice for anyone who is having the mindset but are scared or having the fear of stepping out?
Sure, yeah. I think that fear is an interesting thing, and it's important to recognize and maybe even embrace for a little bit, but sometimes it needs to be put aside, and it's okay to acknowledge, like, hey, I'm probably going to fail if I try this, but that's the whole point, right, is making mistakes and learning from them. So if you have like an idea or you have something, that you have that passion there, just go forward with it and learn from it. Reach out to people when you need to, and take the process step by step. You know, it's not something you can always sit down and know how it's going to turn out in 5 years. It's something you need to just like take moment by moment and make the decisions as they come, while keeping like, keep an eternal perspective, I guess, in mind.
So
but
true.
Don't get too caught up in the 10-year, 5-year plans. Just take it as it comes.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
That's really good advice, I think. And, in general life, right? Take things as they come. It's every day is going to be something different, a different challenge or whatever. I'll try to take that to heart. Remember, take things as they come.
Oh, yeah. I really needed to hear that. Yeah, sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm too shy to ask. And maybe they think that I don't know what I'm doing. But thank you for sharing that. That is really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So 10 years from now, I know every goal that we set, everything that we plan to do, there is always like a future or like an eternal perspective of everything that we set.
Right.
So where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Yeah, I definitely want to keep starting businesses. I want to see the business that I started back home get to like a stable part where it can run without me. And I can kind of keep going forward and try new things, supporting communities in different ways, reaching out to other people, and making things happen. Small businesses are really important to me, and I love seeing them evolve and taking that process of seeing a need and filling it with a new idea. So I would love to keep doing that in the future.
Great.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to start winding down the podcast, but Natalie, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah.
Is there anything we haven't asked about that you think your listeners ought to know about running a business or just about your experience?
Really, I guess I would say, again, just reiterate, like, you can do it. It's not something that only certain people can do. It's for everybody. You don't have to have this like crazy entrepreneurial spirit to start a business. Like, it's okay to just start small, start with what you can and grow from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Natalie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
And that is our show on Alaka'i, the podcast. Thank you to all your listeners, and hope you all have a wonderful day. Mahalo.
Mahalo.